we'll go on to the hormone regulation and the chemistry of hormones. So there are actually three types of endocrine hormones. Well, actually chemical signals, three types of chemical signals. And the most prevalent one is the endocrine, which is the hormones being released into the extracellular fluid, and it goes into a distant target cell. And then we also have the paracrine and the autocrine glands that affects the local area. So if you have a paracrine gland, you have the hormone being released, and it'll just go to the perimeters around the area. It won't really go off to like a distant target cell. So there's no diffusion to the blood for these two types of chemical signaling for endocrine glands. And if it's an autocrine, so auto means self, like autobiographies, so it'll just secrete the hormone and it'll affect itself. So there's like the hormone, and then like there's like a hormone receptor, so hormone goes here and they just attach onto its own receptors. Now that we have the chemical signaling process, we should look at the chemical classes. So the way that I remember these is lab, which means lipid derivatives, amines, biogenic, and peptides. So lipid derivatives are the steroids and the icosanoid. And the steroid, I use SAC, S-A-C to remember it. Steroids are made from cholesterol. The S stands for sex hormones, because it just is. And A stands for adrenal cortex hormones, and C stands for calcitriol, which is the active form of vitamin D. For the icosanoids, I remember, what do I remember? The PLTL. P stands for prostaglandins, and L stands for leukotrienes, and T stands for thromboxanes, and L stands for liposines. So these are made from arachidonic acid, and they're paracrine, which makes sense. And they mostly regulate blood clotting, which is cool. So now that we have the chemical classes, we have hormone circulation. There are some hormones that just circulate freely in the cell, but there are some others that attach itself to a transport protein. And the thing I used to remember is HRS, Human Resource Services. So H stands for that it'll increase in half-life. R stands for that it'll create a reserve when it's like attached onto a transport protein. And S stands for, solubility increasing, because it can attach onto another transport protein, so it'll be more soluble when it's traveling around in the blood. And then we also have the control of hormone secretion, which goes into humoral stimuli. It's a change in the chemical ions of your body. Neurostimuli, which only affects the adrenal medulla, and the hormonal stimuli, which is regulated by the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, which I remember as, HP, Harry Potter. It's like very hormonal. So those are the chemical classes: chemical signaling, control secretion, chemical circulation, making up the chemical chemistry, and the regulation of hormone release.